Jessica's hands trembled as she pulled the half-empty jar from her fridge. Organic strawberry jam, the label screamed healthy, but the sharp pain clawing up her ribs told a different story. Her doctor's words echoed. No tumors, no disease, but your body's screaming for help. She unscrewed the lid. The smell was sweet, too sweet. And then the flashback. Her mother's cancer diagnosis, the same week this brand first appeared in their pantry. Coincidence? Or was her body warning her all along? Jessica slammed the jar onto the counter. The kitchen blurred as her vision tunneled back to that night. Her mom, frail under hospital lights, whispering, "They said it's genetic, but I never told them about the cravings." The cravings? Strawberry jam on toast. Every morning for a decade. Jessica's breath hitched. No, it can't be. Her phone buzzed, a news alert. FDA recalls popular jam brand after hidden carcinogen leak. Her blood ran cold. The brand? Sunny Farms. The same one in her hand. Jessica's fingers dug into the kitchen counter as she stared at the jar, her mind racing. How long had this been in her fridge? She grabbed her laptop, hands shaking as she typed, "Sunny Farms jam cancer cases." The screen flooded with results. Forum posts from people complaining of unexplained illnesses, a Reddit thread linking the brand to a cluster of rare cancers in the Midwest. Even a buried news article about a whistleblower from the factory who'd warned about contaminated ingredients. Her stomach twisted. This wasn't just about her mom anymore. A notification popped up, an email from her doctor. She clicked it open, heart pounding. "Jessica, your latest blood work shows elevated markers for inflammation. We need to discuss possible environmental triggers." Environmental triggers? Like the jam she'd been eating every single day. She slammed the laptop shut, her breath coming in short gasps. Was she next? Just then her phone buzzed. An unknown number. The message was short, chilling. "Stop digging. You don't know what you're messing with." Jessica's blood ran cold. Who was warning her? And why? She looked back at the jar. The innocent-looking strawberries suddenly sinister. This went deeper than she'd ever imagined. Jessica's hands trembled as she stared at the threatening message, her mind spinning with possibilities. Was it a coincidence that this warning came minutes after her search? She paced the kitchen, her ribs aching with each step, that familiar pain flaring up again, sharper now, like her body was sounding an alarm. She needed answers, and there was only one place to start. The factory itself. A quick search showed Sunny Farms was just 2 hours away. "I have to go there," she muttered, but as she grabbed her keys, a wave of dizziness hit her. She slumped against the wall, clutching her side. This wasn't normal. Her vision blurred, and for a split second she saw it. A fragmented memory of her mom in the kitchen, pouring that same jam into the trash, her face pale with fear. "Mom knew," Jessica whispered. But if her mom had figured it out, why hadn't she said anything? The pain in her ribs pulsed, synchronizing with her racing heartbeat. Was her body trying to tell her something? She took a deep breath, forcing herself to focus. The factory was the key. But as she stepped outside, a black SUV pulled up across the street, engine idling. No plates. Her breath caught. Were they watching her? She ducked back inside, heart hammering. This wasn't just about jam anymore. This was about something bigger, something dangerous. And she was already in too deep. Jessica's pulse pounded in her ears as she took back roads to Sunny Farms, constantly checking her rearview mirror for the black SUV. The factory loomed ahead. A sprawling complex surrounded by chain-link fences, its parking lot nearly empty. Too empty. She parked behind a rusted storage shed, her hands slick with sweat. Sneaking closer, she noticed a side door slightly ajar. Was this a trap? Her ribs throbbed in warning, but she pushed forward. Inside, the air reeked of artificial sweetness and chemicals that burned her throat. Dim lights flickered over conveyor belts stacked with jam jars, the same ones she'd seen in her fridge for years. Then she heard voices. Pressing against a wall, she eavesdropped on 2 men in lab coats. Test results came back. Another batch contaminated, but management says ship it anyway. The other laughed darkly. What's a few more lawsuits when we're already paying off the FDA? Jessica's stomach turned. This wasn't just negligence, it was murder. A sudden noise made her freeze. A security guard rounded the corner, flashlight beams slicing through the dark. She ducked behind a pallet, But her phone buzzed violently in her pocket, the unknown number again. The guard's head snapped toward the sound. "Who's there?" he growled. Jessica held her breath. The buzzing stopped. Then a new text appeared. "Run." Jessica's muscles tensed as the guard's footsteps grew closer, his flashlight beam sweeping just inches above her hiding spot. The factory air felt thick with the scent of rotting fruit and chemicals, making her head spin as she fought to stay silent. Her phone buzzed again, another message. "Storage room B. Now." She didn't have time to think. As the guard turned away, she bolted, her ribs screaming with each step, her body reacting faster than her mind could process. Storage room B was at the end of a dimly lit hallway, its door slightly ajar. She slipped inside, pressing her back against the wall, heart hammering so loud she was sure it would give her away. The room was filled with file boxes, but one stood out, a dusty crate labeled Project Sweetbell Classified. Her fingers trembled as she pried it open. Inside were stacks of documents, photos of her mother at a protest years ago, medical reports linking the jam to a spike in rare cancers, and a faded newspaper clipping with the headline, "Whistleblower Found Dead, Suicide Ruled." The face in the photo made her blood run cold. It was the same woman who had sent her mom a frantic letter weeks before her diagnosis. This wasn't just a cover-up. It was a massacre. A creak at the door made her whirl around. A figure stepped into the light. Not the guard, but a woman in a lab coat, her eyes wide with fear. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "They kill people who ask too many questions." Before Jessica could respond, the woman shoved a flash drive into her hand. "Take this. It's everything. Now run, they're coming." Distant shouts echoed down the hall. Jessica didn't hesitate. She sprinted toward the exit, the flash drive burning a hole in her palm. But as she burst outside, the black SUV screeched to a halt in front of her, doors flying open. The SUV doors swung open, and for a heart-stopping moment Jessica braced for armed men to drag her inside. But instead a familiar face emerged. "Get in. Now." It was Dr. Carter, her mother's old oncologist, his usually composed face twisted in panic. Jessica hesitated, her mind racing. Was this another trap? The shouts from the factory grew louder. A gunshot cracked the air, splintering the pavement near her feet. That decided it. She dove into the SUV just as Dr. Carter slammed the accelerator. Tires screeched as they fishtailed onto the service road, the factory disappearing in a cloud of dust. "Why are you involved in this?" Jessica gasped, clutching the flash drive like a lifeline. The doctor's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "Your mother wasn't just my patient. She was my friend." When she started connecting the dots, they made sure she never spoke out. Jessica's blood turned to ice. "They murdered her?" Dr. Carter didn't answer, just jerked the wheel to avoid a pickup truck that suddenly swerved toward them. The impact sent them careening into a guardrail. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. Jessica's head slammed against the window as the world spun violently. When the car finally skidded to a stop, she tasted blood. Through the cracked windshield, she saw figures approaching. Not factory security, but men in black tactical gear. Private military. One yanked open her door, his gloved hand clamping over her mouth before she could scream. The last thing she saw was Dr. Carter slumped unconscious, blood trickling from his temple, as a needle pricked her neck. Darkness swallowed her whole. Jessica woke with a pounding headache, her wrists bound to a metal chair in a dim concrete room. The air smelled of antiseptic, like a hospital, but wrong. Across from her, a sleek monitor flickered to life, revealing a sharply dressed man. "Miss Parker, you've been quite the nuisance." His voice was calm, polished. The kind of voice that signed death warrants between sips of coffee. "But you're smart. Like your mother was." Jessica's throat tightened. "You killed her," she rasped. The man sighed, as if disappointed. "We protect public trust." Imagine the panic if people knew their healthy food was slowly poisoning them. A file flashed on screen. Project Sweetbell's real purpose: engineering addictive preservatives that cause manageable, profitable illnesses. Chemotherapy drugs, diabetes meds, all our subsidiaries. A perfect ecosystem. Jessica's stomach churned. They turned human bodies into revenue streams. The man leaned closer. "But you? You'll join your mother in being tragically unstable. A suicide, of course." As he nodded to a guard, Jessica noticed her bonds were loose. Dr. Carter must have done that before they were captured. With a sudden jerk, she broke free, grabbing the guard's gun. Shots rang out. She ran through blinding white halls, the flash drive still clenched in her fist. Bursting through an emergency exit, she collapsed onto rain-soaked streets free. 1 year later, the leaked files went viral. Sunny Farms shuttered. The CEO resigned. But the real victory was smaller, quieter. Jessica stood in her toxin-free kitchen making almond butter toast. No more jam. Her ribs hadn't ached in months. The news called her a hero, but she knew the truth. They count on us ignoring the whispers of our bodies. The real rebellion is listening. Moral lesson: your body always warns you first. Corporations, doctors, even labels lie, but pain never does.